Hey there, welcome back to my channel, A Self-Indulgent Reader. I'm Barbara, and in this video we're going to go over my June reading wrap-up. So in the month of June, I read 20 books, which I know sounds like a lot, but we had 4 road trips that we were taking across the state. So I spent a lot of time in the car on my Kindle. So that's how I was able to read as many books as I did. I also read a lot of lighter books and easier books to consume. So don't think that that is a really great number. That's not typical for me. My average rating was a 3.65. I had a couple books that really brought it down, but I did have a couple 5-star books. So we'll talk about those in a minute as well. So I'm going to rank these books from my lowest rated books to my highest. And we're going to start off with my 2-star read for the month. And that was Alive and Wells by Bailey Hanna. And in this book, we're following Cecily. She has a very abusive husband, and she's been talking to this woman online. She's never met her in person, and the woman offers her a job and a place to stay if she leaves her abusive husband. So she does, and she ends up going to the Wells Ranch, and she's working in the kitchen with this woman. And the Wells Ranch is run by their oldest brother, which is Austin Wells. And, you know, he's not really impressed by this city girl coming to think that she's going to come to a ranch and work on a ranch. And I listened to it on audio, and it was really bad. It was so cringy. So I don't know if the book was as bad or just my experience with the book was bad because of this audio. It was dual narration, but again, it was the man doing the woman's lines. So he was like, oh, talking like this. And it was just really cringy and annoying. It just pissed me off. So I finally DNF'd it with probably only 100 pages left to go. I did request this book from my library. I'm going to try to read these last 100 pages and see if it can redeem itself above a 2-star. And we'll see. I will let you know. I'll give you an update on that one. But that was Alive and Wells. And there's a whole series of books. And there was one of them that the plot line really intrigued me. But if I can't get past this first one, I don't know that I'm going to continue on in the series. The second book that I read was Across the Vanishing Sky by Catherine Cowell. I've read this author before, and she writes these romance books with a true crime element in them. And I started one of her other series. It was the Sparrow Falls series. And I read the first 2 books, but I didn't continue in that series. And so when I picked up this one, I had forgotten that this was the same author. And I thought, oh no, what if I don't like this one? But this one does have a true crime element as well. I think all of her books do. In this, we're following Braden. And she is a single mom. And she and her best friend are on a hike in this town, Starlight Grove, or near there. And her friend goes missing off the hiking trail. They search for her a little bit, but not enough for Braden. So Braden moves to this town with her little boy, and she's going to try to figure out what happened with her friend Nova. And so she moves into this cabin, and there's a cabin next door, and that's where Dex lives. And Dex is an FBI white hat hacker. So he does a lot of stuff on computers all day. And they just kind of form this friendship and, you know, and then something more. But all this time, she's still trying to find out what happened to her friend Nova. And some people think that, you know, she needs to let it go. And some people really want to help her. So that's what happened in this one. And I actually enjoyed it. So the second book in this is coming out July 7th. And that's called Into the Fading Twilight. And that tells the story of her friend and what happened to her friend. So I'm actually really excited to read that book. I like this. I gave it, I think, like 3.5 stars or 4 stars, but it wasn't as cringy as the other true crime in the other books. So I'm going to be picking that one up too. So then I read All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowell. I got this one from my library because in Across the Vanishing Sky, they reference this girl who has a true crime podcast. And I guess Dex knows her. So that book, book took place before this. This is a standalone, but this is about Ridley. And Ridley's twin sister goes missing while they're in college. And she's been trying to find her sister. And the more she digs into this, the more she finds other cases that are similar. So she starts this true crime podcast out of a van, and she drives across the country, you know, looking into these other missing persons cases that are very similar to her sister's. And in that, she ends up meeting the sheriff, Coulter Brooks, and he doesn't want her digging around. He's not happy about it because it's trudging up a lot of things that happened in their town, because one of the cases she's reviewing happened in this town. But she doesn't want to let it go, and she's trying to tell people, listen, there's more cases and they're all connected. And so that's this one. And of course, it's a romance as well. So that was All the Missing Pieces, and that one I think I also gave like a 3.5. So I liked it. Then, completely switching gears away from the true crime, I picked up Ladies in Hating, and I was given the ARC for this a while ago and I never got around to it. So I saw it at the library. I picked it up because now it has been published. And this is actually the third book in a series, but you don't have to read the other two. This is by Alexandra Vasti. And in this, we're following Georgiana and Kat. And this is a period romance, a sapphic period romance. And they both write these Gothic novels. But there are some striking similarities in their two novels. So Georgiana wants to find out who this, they write under pen names. She wants to find out who this author is, and she finds out it is Kat. And she's known Kat for a while because Kat's father was Georgiana's father's butler. Georgiana's father is a lord. So they're trying to figure out why there's these similarities in their books. I mean, down to the same name of some of the characters. And they end up doing research for another book in this haunted manor. And now they're trapped in this haunted manor. So they have to face these ghosts and things like that while they're researching their book, while they're also falling in love. So that was Ladies in Hating. It was a really cute book. I think I gave this a 3-star as well, but it was cute. If you like that whole time period and, want to pick up something light and fluffy, this is a cute little romance. While I'm in this Regency romance era, I picked up Emma M. Lyon, volume 1 and 2. I listened to both of these on audio, and I'm currently listening to the third. And if you haven't heard about Emma M. Lyon, these are her journals, and Emma is it's the late 1800s, and she has inherited this family estate. And so she moves into the estate, but it's being controlled by other family members because she's a woman. What does she know about money and how to manage, an estate and things like that? And it's not a huge estate, it's a house. And so Emma is trying to grasp, how to manage this, how to make money, how to take back some of her power and control. And in these books are very slice of life. Emma and her friends and the things that she does during the day and the people that she meets. And there are a few different gentlemen in there. So you don't know if any of these will be a love interest for her. For now, it's just gentlemen that she's surrounded herself with. But they're really darling books, and they're short. I think the books are only maybe under 200 pages. The audiobooks are about 5 hours. So they're really cute to listen to. And Emma is just darling. I just love her. She's very much girl power back in the late 1800s, which wasn't a thing. But she is trying to show that she is capable of doing this. And she doesn't need a man, but maybe she'll find a man. So I love these Emma M. Lyon books. I'm on book 3 right now, as I mentioned. I think there's 8 in this series. So I'll give you an update on that next month on where I go from there. Then, still in my, historical romance period, I picked up His Grace the Duke. And last month I read the first book in this series, which was Beautiful Things. And these books are really so connected. The first one ends on such a cliffhanger, you have to keep reading if you want to. But in this, we're following Rosalie, and Rosalie has been invited to this manor while they're doing a big party, and their parties last a month, while the Duke is trying to find a wife. Now, Rosalie is not in contention for that because she has no connections, she has no money, no family, nothing. So there's no way she could ever marry the Duke. But the Dowager Duchess, the Duke's mother, has invited her to help her plan all of these events. So she's not there as a possible suitor, she's there just to help out. But there are 3 gentlemen at the house also that are, one is the brother of the Duke, one is his friend, and another is another friend. So there's these 3 guys and Rosalie. And there's attraction between all of them. This is a why choose reverse harem. So it's 3 men and 1 woman. And they're all about making sure that Rosalie is happy and satisfied and gets everything she wants. They know about the other men. They're not concerned about the other men. In fact, they're all together. So it was really good. The writing in this was fantastic, but I wouldn't recommend this to anyone because, I mean, if that's your thing, if you like a why choose romance, I didn't think I would, but I get it because each one of these men brings something different to the table and really make her life very complete. And they actually become this family. These, you know, these three men and Rosalie are like a little family. So that was His Grace the Duke. This was the second in that book. I think it's only a duology. So yeah, that was that. Then I picked up Annie Knows Everything by Rachel Wood. And in this story, we're following Annie, and there's actually two stories going on in this book. One is her sister is getting married, so she has this engagement party coming up. But her sister had been engaged to this guy once before, and Annie found out something about the guy and told him that he has to tell her sister or else she will. And he doesn't. So she makes this announcement at the engagement party, the first engagement party. The engagement is called off, and now Annie is the bad guy in this family forever for, you know, ruining this engagement party. Not the fiance for doing what he did, but Annie for calling him out. So now it's years later, and they're engaged again, and the engagement party is coming up, and Annie doesn't even know if she's invited to go to this. At the same time, Annie loses her job because she works in this tech company and there's massive layoffs. So she's going to lose her job. So she kind of convinces the HR department to let her have this job in another department that she's not qualified for. It's like programming, and she's not a programmer, but she goes in there and she's trying to convince the guys that work on that team that she could be of value to them, even though she doesn't know programming. Don't worry about it. She's got other skills that's going to really help them out. So they kind of decide to give her a chance, and she's starting to fall for her boss. And now that's a big no-no, but Annie is a know-it-all. She thinks she knows everything. So she's like, don't worry about it. I've got this. So she's going to help this department. And at the same time, she's going to try to figure out how to fix the problems in her family. And then Annie needs to learn a lesson that sometimes she doesn't know everything, and that sometimes she needs to let things go and, you know, let people live with the decisions that they make and not try to always butt in. But this was a really adorable story. I was really rooting for the couple. And she ended up helping both of them, you know, so she didn't know everything. She kind of backed off, but she was able to help people get what they needed and understand that maybe it's not her place to butt into every situation. But I really adore this. The writing was great. It was hilarious. I was, you know, kicking my feet about the couple. So really, really cute book. I definitely recommend it. Annie Knows Everything by Rachel Wood. Then on a whim, I picked up this hockey romance called Center Ice by Julia Connors. So in Center Ice, we're following Audrey and Graham, and she's his tutor in college, and they kind of hook up one night, and they're kind of friends, but they hook up, and then he gets drafted by the NHL. So he moves away, and he's like across country. They're in Boston. This takes place in Boston, but he moves across the whole country. Right after he leaves, she finds out she's pregnant, and she tries to reach out to him multiple times, no response. So she ends up having this baby by herself. She doesn't tell anyone who the baby's father is or anything. Fast forward 5 years now, and he has now been traded to Boston, and her brother is his agent. So her brother's having this party, and he sees her at this party and wants to reconnect with her and sees she has this little boy, and he does the math and figures out that this is my kid. The kid looks like him. It's the same age. And she says, listen, I tried to tell you, but you didn't respond to me. And at the time he was just like, listen, I wanted no distractions because I was trying to, you know, find my way in the NHL. And so now he has this son that he's trying to get to know, and he wants to reconnect with Audrey. I liked this book a lot. I think I gave it like 3.5 or 4 stars. My only issue with it was, if you find out you have a kid, I mean, that kind of rocks your world, and you really want to get to know your kid, and oh my gosh, now I'm a father. And he was spending more time trying to just connect with her and get in her pants, I think, than he was trying to connect with his son. A little issue, but maybe that was just his priorities. But it all worked out in the end. And it was a cute book. I really did enjoy it. I liked the writing. Nothing about it was cringy or anything like that. But That was Center Ice by Julia Connors, and I would recommend picking it up. It was a nice, light, fluffy read. I think I read it in a day. Now, after reading Shield of Sparrows and Rights of the Starling, which are some of my favorite fantasy series, I wanted to read Devney Perry's Backlist, so I picked up Coach by Devney Perry. This is a college football romance, and in this we're following Ford and Millie, and Ford and Millie are friends in college. They're really good friends, and Millie's attracted to Ford. So he had broken up with his girlfriend, so Millie decides to shoot her shot, and she goes and kisses Ford. They go their separate ways, and then later that day, his ex-girlfriend comes back and tells him that she's pregnant. So Ford marries his ex-girlfriend. They have this kid. They raise him. Ford goes off into the NHL. He wins the Super Bowl. He becomes a coach of or an assistant coach of a professional football team. And now he's come back to this place. It's the Treasure State Wildcats, and he's going to be the head football coach for this college team with his daughter, because now he's gotten a divorce, and Millie is the assistant athletic director. So Millie has thought all these years that the reason why he disappeared off the face of the earth is because she kissed him. She didn't know about the baby or anything like that because she never looked him up. She didn't want to know anything about his life. And now, they have this second chance again. He loves Millie. He's, wants to be with her. But now he also has this kid that his ex-wife really doesn't want anything to do with. So this is a second chance romance. This series of books, the Treasure State Wildcats, I think there's 4 books, and they all take place at the same time. I don't know that I'm going to go on to read this series because the second book is another coach and an athlete, a student athlete. So I don't know about the whole coach and student thing. That's kind of creepy to me, but we'll see. Maybe I'll go back and read it if I'm really bored and I have nothing else. But all in all, I like this book. I think I gave it 3 stars, and you did find yourself rooting for Ford and Millie, but it was a forbidden romance, so it was a good book. Then, while looking into Devney Perry's Backlist, I picked up Indigo Ridge, and this is the first book in the Eden series, and I've seen this around a lot. These are all getting new covers now. I think all the new covers are coming out in July, so very soon. And this is a series of 6 books. And in this, we're following the Eden family. They have 6 siblings, and each sibling has their own book. I ended up reading all 6. So this first one, we're following Griffin and Win. And Winslow is the new chief of police in town. And she meets Griffin, and they both think that each other is a tourist. So that it's okay to hook up because they'll never see each other again. But they're not. They're going to be connected a lot. So this is kind of like an enemies to lovers book. And then I ended up reading the other 5 in this series. Each book follows a different sibling, and they all do something different. Griffin runs their family ranch. They have a 100-acre ranch in Montana. He runs this ranch. But then in the second book, we follow Knox, and he owns a restaurant. One of the siblings runs the hotel. One owns a coffee shop. There's a couple UFC fighters. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. So it isn't any one genre, but I think each book does cover every trope. And on their own, each book has a subplot and then like a sub-subplot, and I didn't like them, especially the sub-subplots. They really kind of annoyed me. One of them really pissed me off, and I wanted to throw my Kindle across the room. But on the whole, each book was a 3 or 4 star, maybe a 4.5. The last one I think was Chef's Kiss. It was a great way to end the series. But as a whole, the series was fantastic because the characters develop, they have personal growth, they build on each one, and then you see this family. By the end, this family goes from 6 siblings to 6 siblings and their spouses and their kids and their parents and their cousins, and it's just this huge family that just the whole series felt like a warm hug. So I loved this a lot. In fact, when I finished the 6th book, it put me in a reading slump because I'm like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna move past the Edens now? Because they felt so real to me. These characters were, very real, and had a lot of depth and dimension to them, and I really enjoyed this whole series. So I would definitely recommend it. I don't know why I waited so long to pick it up. I think because I thought maybe it was like a true crime one, like the Catherine Cowles ones. They're not. The first one does have a crime in it. Actually, a lot of them have some sort of a crime or something in it, but not like a true crime. So I really enjoyed this quite a bit. All right, next, because of the summer vibes, I picked up Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn, and I've had this book for a little while. It just took me a while to get to. I think because I was waiting for it to be officially summer. And my birthday is the first day of summer, so I'm like, I'm not gonna read any summer books until it's really summer. And this was so fun. This was such a fun book. This is my first time reading Megan Quinn, and I'll definitely read some of her other books because I actually do have some on my bookshelves that I just have never read. But in this, we're following Scotty, and Scotty works with a bunch of dudes, and she calls them the Brads and the Chads. And one day they're all talking about what they're doing that weekend with their spouses and their partners, and she mentions her husband and what they're doing. And one of the guys calls her out and says, you don't have a husband, you don't even have a ring on. And she says, well, that's because my husband and I are going through some problems. And her boss is like, oh, I got you, girl. My husband's a marriage counselor and he'll fit you in. She's like, great. So now she has to find a husband. So her friend says, well, you can use my brother. He's bored, he's got time, he would love to do it. So she meets her brother at the marriage counselor like 15 minutes before their appointment. His name is Wilder, and he's a little bit younger than her, and he's very free spirit. And Wilder is really into improv. So they go in this appointment with the marriage counselor, and the goal is to show that they're not compatible, that they should get a divorce, so that she can then say, oh, now we got divorced, and she never has to talk about her husband again. But Wilder takes it a little bit too far with his improv, and next thing you know, he has signed them up for an 8-day marriage retreat. And it's at this summer camp, and all of her coworkers and their spouses are going to be there too. So she's like, all right, this was not the plan. So now I have to go spend 8 days with this guy. And of course he's hot, of course. And they have to pretend like they are having problems, but they're really not. I mean, they're kind of getting attracted to each other, but they work through their problems. And so it was really cute. I adored this. It was hilarious. I was like laughing out loud, kicking my feet. This was at 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this so much. A lot of fun. And I'll definitely be reading more Megan Quinn. Okay, now completely switching gears, because you see the romance theme going this month, right? I finished Kingdom of Ash. Now, this is the last book in the Throne of Glass series. It's 980 pages, so it was a chunker. And I think reading Throne of Glass, maybe because it was hyped up so much, that I wasn't in the right headspace for it. And I didn't appreciate the books as I read them. So then when I got to the end of this and it brought all of those other 7 books together, I was like, oh, I get it. So now, as soon as I finished it, I thought I have to go back and reread the series because there was stuff I glossed over, I didn't pick up on, there were Easter eggs throughout, and I don't know, a lot of times I felt like I was bored. And now I'm like, oh, I get it. And I missed this opportunity. So I'm gonna have to go back and reread it, but I'm not yet. I will eventually, because it's thousands of pages. It took me 6 months just to get through all 8 books. So I will go back and reread it at some point, but this is a masterpiece. This series is a masterpiece. That Sarah J. Maas had the forethought to put this together and create this world, knowing how big it was going to be, and then pull it all together in the last book. You were like, oh my gosh, who thinks that? I always think authors think 1 book at a time, or maybe 1 small series at a time. Not, oh, don't worry, I'm gonna get to that 7 books from now. But that's what she did. And this was phenomenal. My God, I loved this so much. This isn't a 5-star series for me, but maybe on my reread it will be, because I'll pay attention and I'll probably annotate a little bit more. I'm gonna pay attention next time. But definitely, if you want the fantasy book, this is not a lot of romance. There is romance in it, but that's not the forefront of this series. It's just this girl, Selena Sardathian, who is Aelin Ash River, she is multiple people, and she is trying to win back her kingdom that was stripped from her when she was a little girl. And the people that she meets along the way and that come to help her, and then her just coming into her own power. Just really, really a phenomenal fantasy series. I love this. Okay, now it's on to my 2 favorite books of the month. These are my 5-star reads. The first one was We Met Like This by Casey West. Now, I read Stranger Things Have Happened by Casey West earlier this year. I got the ARC for that and loved her writing style. I mean, she's really great, witty banter, very smart banter too. So I picked up We Met Like This. And in this, we're following Margot. And she and Oliver have matched on a dating app. And they go on this date and they have no chemistry dialogue-wise. They cannot have a conversation, but they have a lot of sexual chemistry. So they kind of hook up, but they don't finish. And then they go their separate ways. They never talk again. So she gets back on these dating apps and she keeps matching with Oliver again. So after, seeing that they keep matching, she reaches out to them and they start talking and about how, isn't it funny that we keep matching? Maybe we should give it another try. But, they just have this banter back and forth. So they finally do agree to meet. And on the day that they're going to meet up, she loses her job. And she's an assistant to a literary agent, but she really wants to be a literary agent, or an assistant literary agent, not an assistant to a literary agent. So she loses her job and Oliver is there. So now she's like all weepy and cry. Like, this is not the experience you want when you're first meeting someone. And so now she decides she's going to start her own company. She's going to be a literary agent. She's going to do it herself, and Oliver's going to help her. So he, helps her set up a website and do things like with a business plan, and they start to have this relationship and this friendship, and it's really kind of growing from there. And then Oliver realizes something, and he has this secret that he is now keeping from her, and it's going to devastate them. I mean, there's no way their relationship can survive this secret that he has, but he does want to be with her, and so they kind of he has to navigate when to tell her. Should he tell her? She's going to find out anyways, but he really, really likes her, and now they have this issue, so they have to work beyond. And I don't want to give away any spoilers, because it was a huge plot twist for me that I did not see coming. But I would definitely recommend this book. It was so good. The banter was great. The writing was phenomenal. And I just loved the intelligent dialogue that they had. So definitely recommend We Met Like This. And then my other favorite book of the month was Lost and Found by Tara DeWitt. This was a 5-star read for me. This is the third in the Spoons Oregon trilogy. The first one was Savor It. The second one was Left of Forever. So in this book, we're following Silas and Bee. And Silas is a firefighter, and he had this catastrophic accident, I think in the first book, and he burned 20% of his body. So he's kind of dealing with some issues with that. He's got some grief about it, the loss of the life that he had, and he has some body issues, and he really deals with a lot of this with humor. He has a very dry sense of humor. And we're also following Bee, and Bee and Silas have been friends since they were kids. They've kind of always run in the same circle of friends, but Bee also had her best friend Merritt, and Merritt was always in love with Silas. So Bee would never let herself be with Silas. Even though he liked her, she would never let it happen because she didn't want to betray her best friend that way. So now that they're adults, Merritt has just passed away of cancer, and she left Bee her eggs. She had her eggs harvested when she was first diagnosed, and now that she's passed away, she has these eggs, and Bee has to figure out what to do with them. So she decides that she's going to have a baby with these eggs. And so she moves in with Silas to try to save money and to go through this whole process. And, they were friends as kids, and now they're adults, and they're both dealing with grief. Bee is dealing with the loss of her best friend, and Silas with, the grief of the person that he was. And neither one of them will let themselves be in a relationship with someone, because they're both very much people pleasers. Bee especially is a people pleaser. She would never betray Merritt by being with Silas. I mean, she's having Merritt's baby because she's a people pleaser. She always puts herself last. And Silas helps her through that, and together they find one another and realize that Merritt wouldn't want them to not be together. She would want them to be happy, but could they let that happen? You know, is that a possibility? And oh, by the way, B's gonna have a baby. So there's that other whole, you know, complication in their relationship. So I would definitely recommend Lost and Found. I absolutely adore this book. It's probably going to be one of my favorite books of the year. It's definitely a 5-star read for me. There was nothing I didn't love about it. I know some people, I was reading some reviews, they thought the whole B having Merritt's baby thing was weird. It does sound weird, but it works. Just trust me, it works. You get it. It's really her trying to honor her friend that she lost, because she doesn't know what to do with herself with her friend gone, because her whole life has been around making Merritt happy, because she is that people pleaser. So she did whatever Merritt did. She went to school where Merritt went. She lived her life surrounded her best friend Merritt, and now that Merritt's gone, she's lost and she doesn't know what to do with herself. So it was fantastic. I loved it very much. So I'll definitely be picking it up when it comes out. I think it comes out July 14th. It comes out soon. So I'll definitely be grabbing that for my shelf and probably rereading it. Tell me about what you read in the month of June, and if you read any of these books, what your thoughts were on those. And thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can join us next time, and I will see you soon. Happy reading. Bye.